I wish I could capture this weather, this day, and keep it for about 363 days in a row. What a beautiful June morning on the top of Saranac on the Clark Hill Road, right?
Yes, sir.
Bob Bolak, the sign man. I, I was introduced to this guy via email. This is something that happens to me a great deal. Do you remember the first
Yeah.
note you sent me?
Yes, sir. It was about the ranger. You had an article in the press on a Sunday.
About the Lone Ranger, great historical stuff, memories. Wait till you read next week's column, not this week, but next week about the comics and the papers that we used to see when we were
Yeah.
kids, the ones that aren't there anymore.
No.
It might generate a little.
I'm quite aware of them. I've got a couple hundred comic books in the house right
Come
now. 10
on.
centers.
I should have known that the sign man would collect something besides signs.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Comic books. Comic books too, Calvin, don't you?
I got a few.
You got a few. Well, he actually wrote for a magazine. What was it? Sick magazine, like Mad magazine.
I remember SICK in the 60s.
Yeah, he was just a slip young lad back in the day. Bob, you're kind enough to invite us up here. This is a little piece of heaven up here.
We enjoy it. We've been here 28 years.
Have you really?
Yeah.
You told me you were originally from Auburn,
Yes, sir.
and just give
And
me
I
a little
got-
bit about your background.
Well, I Department of Corrections down at Greenhaven.
Oh boy, didn't lots of people
And-
that I know.
Had to do my time down there, and I met my wife when I was down there. She was originally from up here. She was working at Wassaic.
Yep.
And we met, and here we are. The rest is history.
Well, yeah, but why this spot on this beautiful little hill in Saranac?
I don't know. We
Just
found
driving-
it. We were just driving by, and we saw a sign in the front yard.
Isn't it? You know, it's some of these things are magical. I use the word serendipity because sometimes things just happen, and you're in the right place at the right time. Did you know this is the place when you went by? Did
No.
you have a feeling?
No, we were looking. We were up here living, and we were just looking for a place, and we decided to stop the people. And the rest, here we are, 28 years later.
You know, the best part of it is, I'm interested in history and preserving history and talking about history, even though today is today. The original part of your house dates back to the early 1800s,
1830s,
30s, and your kitchen was,
a blacksmith shop.
come on.
Well, that's what we were told. We don't have anything in writing, but that story's been handed down through the ages.
I would guess that your house looks a lot different now in 2005 than it did in the 1830s. You've done the work since you moved into it, haven't
We
you?
haven't stopped. We haven't stopped.
It's always a work in progress when you
Yeah.
have a home, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I just finished painting the inside porch last week. So if you're not remodeling, you're redoing.
Yeah. But that's the fun of having your own place. This is what young couples dream about. As we're recording this, our family's preparing for another wedding. Our granddaughter Megan marrying Scott Marlowe from Malone. And you know, when you're in your mid-20s, you have dreams.
Yeah.
And isn't it nice when some of those dreams can come true?
And you have energy.
But you have to have the energy. You have to have the energy and the good health. And there's no substitute for that when you get to be my age. When you feel good, you're grateful for that.
Yeah.
You know? But this is a good spot. So are you in corrections?
Oh no, I retired 7 years ago.
Listen to this guy. He's just trying to make me
7
feel bad
years.
because I'm still a working stiff. 7 years ago? Did you where'd you end up working at Dannemora?
Yeah, I spent most of my time there.
Well, it's not too far from here.
No, 7 miles.
Yeah.
I traveled throughout the state. I took promotions, and I ended up here.
That's great. You know, Kelvin and I, as we turned the corner to come up here, I said, I've maybe been here one time in my life up this road. Unless you have friends or family there, some of these roads are not too much traveled, you
No.
know?
No.
Makes for a nice, peaceful place, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, we love it. Yeah, no neighbors, real close.
That's wonderful, like the olden days. But it's just, you've obviously spent a lot of time here. We're going to pause for a moment, maybe move a little bit, and talk about how the heck you ever got involved in this wild and wonderful hobby. I knew this was going to be a great day. I have to tell our viewers that we planned this some time ago, but you have an ailing mother down in Auburn, and you've had to go back and forth. But we finally said today is the day.
Yes.
And I'm delighted that we came up here. I think we're going to have some fun today. Stay tuned. We're getting into it. We're getting into it. These are the signs. Before we even talk about the signs, though, I just want you to tell me a little bit more about you. You've raised a family here, right?
Yes, sir. 2 daughters, and we have 3 grandkids.
Wonderful. They live around here?
Yeah. One family lives a mile and a half away.
Oh, that's
and the other family's in Plattsburgh.
That's wonderful. And your wife is shy like my wife, and the minute she heard the cameras were coming up in the mountain, she was in the car and down the road, right?
Yeah, she had some place to go.
Yeah, of course she did. Like my wife, like Kay would. Don't ever put me on television. All right, how did this wonderful hobby of yours begin?
Well, the garage was built in '95, and that summer, right after it was built, we were at a yard sale. And up in Trout River, of all places.
Oh, my goodness.
And just
Been there, done that.
a little garage, and I was looking around, and on the back wall of the garage, I see this Quaker State sign. And I had no interest whatsoever in signs or anything like this at the time. And I just looked at it, and it was a beat-up sign, and I said there was a young fellow that was running the sale. I said, "Is that sign for sale?" And he says, "You really want that?" He says, "I found this out in the woods down by the river a couple of years ago, and I just tacked it up there." I says, "Well, you want to sell it?" He said, "Sure, I'll sell anything." And so I offered him, he says, "What would you give me?" I offered him $10, and he was happy as
He was delighted.
happy as anything. And I brought that home. I put it inside the garage, and it started.
That was
started.
The faucet was open.
Yes, sir. And I haven't stopped since. 10 years later, I've got approximately 350 signs.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I love the idea because other people collect 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, but you've decided to make this a life's work, I think.
Well, it started slow, and I would pick them up at yard sales. Back then, they were easy to find because there wasn't that many people looking for them. And it's getting very hard now to find the stuff. But it's out there. There's people's garages, they've got them. They've been hanging there for 40, 50 years. They're just laying there, the old cans and oil bottles. It's there in barns, but I still find it.
Every now and again. Yeah. And you said when we came up, this collecting is about to stop. And I don't know. You look like you're hooked pretty good, right?
Well, as you can see, the barns are covered. And when you get in the garage, you'll see that I'm really running out of room.
I saw that. You were moving up and around and all.
So I don't know if I'm going to end it or
build another barn.
Well, I don't think I can do that. not at this stage of the game.
Let's talk about some of these signs. For example, this Saucony sign. Well, there's got to be a story behind every one.
Well, a little bit, but the Saucony, I found that over around Norfolk.
Oh my goodness! I'll
Way
be going there in a few weeks.
You know the area.
Oh, I know the area very well and grew up over there. Sure.
And I stopped at a guy's yard sale, and he had 3 or 4 different signs, and he wanted to get rid of that. And I was thinking, what am I going to do with that at the time? 'Cause
I hope you had your truck.
Oh yeah, it's 8.5 feet long and
Yeah.
about almost 4 feet tall. And it's porcelain, it's heavy.
Oh, it is porcelain.
Oh yeah, most of the signs, majority of them are porcelain. And I brought that home, and it sat inside the barn for like 2 years, 2 to 3 years, because I didn't know what to do with it. And one day I had my son-in-law come over with a tractor with a bucket. And we tried to put it in the tractor, put it in the bucket, and pick it up. Couldn't do it. One person, I couldn't do it. He was operating the tractor, and I couldn't control it because it's so wavy.
Yeah.
And we ended up putting chains on it and lifting it up. And it took probably a good hour, but we got it and got it screwed in, and it's been there for about 7 years.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now, how old would that sign be, for example?
That's from the 30s or 40s.
Is it really? Do
Yeah.
you do research on all of them or
No.
some of them?
Well, a lot of the signs have the year right on them,
Oh, they do.
on the bottom. Oh, yes. I'll show you later.
A few, yeah. That one I can't see any number on the.
Well, there's writing on the bottom right-hand corner. I can't remember. I can't remember every sign what
I
it
can see little
has.
tiny writing there, but
Yeah.
these old eyes could not see it from here.
It's probably the manufacturer's name, but some of them just put their company name, and some actually put the month and year.
Yeah. So you just did you have any? Did you go in any order when you started collecting these
No.
signs, or just
Whatever I found.
That's-
Whatever I found that I liked, I got. If the price was right.
It's a great collection because these are, we love memories, and these are, a lot of these things don't even exist anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed SO petrols. Come on, and a lot of these have somebody been taking pot shots at them through the years too, huh?
That's what kids did.
Oh, of course they did.
Used to throw stones when they were hanging up at the gas station. Throw stones to hit them to make them crack the porcelain. And I remember when I was a kid, we used to throw snowballs.
Of course. How could you not? I can still hear that sound, can't you, Kelvin? Boing when it hits the metal. So you got a tremendous, what's Skelly Oil Company high pressure gas and pipeline?
Yeah.
That looks brand new.
No, it's not. No, it's an older sign. It's just, that would be at their actual oil.
The oil tanks,
With the
tank
big,
farm?
the big
Yeah.
tank farms.
Oh,
That's a company that's out west.
out west somewhere?
Yeah.
Did you get it? That's the one right in the middle over the Chevrolet sign, the one shaped like a triangle, or no, I mean a rectangle on its side there. See it? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Danger.
Every company had their own. I've got the mobile one to the right of that is similar.
Oh, the little mobile high pressure pipeline sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. How would you get a Pennsylvania Turnpike sign?
Well,
Or do we dare to ask the questions like that?
no. The people that collect this stuff have meets,
Oh, they do? Just like old cars?
just like car shows, and they actually they're all over the country. All over the country, and people will bring their stuff, set up, sell it. Depends where you go. I've been to Oil City, Pennsylvania. They've had a meet there for years. They don't have it anymore, but Oil City is the first oil well in the country was in Oil City, so it's kind of a historic little town.
Sure.
And they used to have a meet there once a year, and I went there I think 3 times, and I found that Pennsylvania one, the official inspection sign to
Over
the
in
left
the
of
left
the Kelly.
corner, yeah,
That's
official.
Pennsylvania,
Oh, yeah.
and there's one other one, the official pollution control.
Oh, upstairs.
That's
Under the
Pennsylvania.
BP sign. Yeah.
Them I got all there. I bought a lot of signs when I first started collecting at that Oil City show.
No kidding.
Oh yeah.
You had the truck loaded down. And,
I think one time I brought 17 signs home
Oh,
in the
my.
trunk of the car.
Oh, in the trunk of the car?
Oh yeah, none of the big ones.
None of the big ones, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, what did Mama say about
she
all
went
that?
with me.
She did, huh?
She was there, so she don't care. She
Does she
She
collect
knows.
anything? I want to know.
no, no. I guess I do enough for both of us.
You got the fever. I love these signs because you got a public telephone signs, Texaco, Motor Oil, Auburn Road. Where'd you get that one?
I got that in Auburn. Last summer I got that at a little shop in Auburn, and there was two of them, one on either side naturally, because they were at one time out on a road, and I actually sold the other one on eBay.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I got my money back.
Let's see how that goes. And every now and again, towns, cities, villages, municipalities will change their signage and sell the old ones. And people like a little piece of history, like the street sign where they were brought up. And they did that the last few years at the city of Plattsburgh. And I went down to the clerk's office and got I can't remember, a Broad Street sign or whatever it is, just to have.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I walk in and my wife just shakes her head and says, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "I don't know. I'll put it up somewhere." And her father was an auto mechanic, the late Alfred Vaughn, and I have his auto mechanic's wooden sign up over my bench out in the garage. Of course, the garage is so cluttered you'd have to work through things to see it. But do people stop and knock on your door and say, "Can I look at your signs?"
Actually, I think only once. One person that, uninvited.
Yeah.
Only once.
It's a thrill for me because I'm sure Calvin, although he's much younger than I am, these are part of my history. A lot of these names. Wait a minute, I see eyes looking out of that window over there.
Oh yeah, that's our Arabian.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
You have one horse?
Just one right now. Yep. We've had different amounts over the years.
Have you really?
Yeah. I think we were here 2 months and we bought 2 ponies for the girls when we first moved in. And we've had other ones throughout the years, but this one is, we got him when he was 8 months old, and he's been here 18 years.
No kidding.
Yep.
Do you ride him?
Not anymore.
Really?
He's got a good life. Well, if you call it a good life, he's got nothing to do but eat.
That's my idea of fun.
Yep.
Stand around and eat.
Yeah.
Take a walk around every now and again. When it comes to signs, what's rare? What's really rare?
Out of these,
Yeah.
none of them.
Yeah,
None of
Clark Hill Road. You don't see those very often, do you?
None of these are really rare, so to speak. They're around.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, you see these. I don't have any real extremely rare ones. I have a couple in the garage that are kind of hard to find, but the majority of them are.
But a lot of
Basically
these
every
date
day.
back to the 50s, but some, as you said, like the Saucony sign, back to the maybe 30s or
Oh, yeah.
40s.
Yeah.
What would there any of these on this wall right here be very old, like 20s? Do
No.
you think?
No, probably the oldest one might be. Well, it's probably right underneath the big mobile, the one that says "Ask for Saucony Motor Oil."
Yeah.
If you notice, it's curved.
Yes.
It went on the old pump, the round pump, the visible.
Oh.
You remember
Yes.
where they had the
absolutely.
gas up above in the glass
Oh,
tank?
absolutely. Of course.
They were all rounded pumps.
Yeah. Well, that's neat.
So that one's probably the oldest.
Well, some are familiar names and some are not so familiar. Of course, I remember Flying A. I like that one. We give Christmas Club Thrifties, redeemable in cash
Yeah,
at Christmas.
I got that over in Vermont, and I never found out who it was associated with.
Really? And I don't know if you could do an internet search and come up with that or not.
Well, I've tried that on a few of the
Really?
brands that I have, and I could find nothing. couple of the soda brands that are inside the garage, like Gurds, Gurds.
That's
It's
a new
ginger ale.
Never heard of it. Have you, Calvin? Gurds? No.
And it's from the sign's from 1936 or 37, and I just couldn't find. I
Just doesn't show up.
tried to find something.
Well, there are local brands. We had
Yeah.
a lot of bottling companies, quite a few right around this area. Yeah, Regurge. Oh, I love it. Well, listen, I can see places where you could still have put 10 or 12 up here.
Well, but do you see how high that is?
Yes, I know. I get your point. The bucket loader won't go that high. Is that
No,
what
no,
you're
I'm up there. I'm up there by myself on the ladder, hanging them, the two tallest ones, and it's getting tall. It's not bad to paint to be up there, but when you got 20 or 30 pounds in your hand,
And your wife has got her fingers poised on the telephone for 911. Yeah, I know how that goes. No more painting high places. That's what she said when we got our house finally sided. We're talking to Bob Bolak up here in the Clark Hill Road in Saranac. We're going to move again and look at more signs. You think you've seen signs? You ain't seen nothing yet. Stay tuned. I don't know why I have a very strange mind, but as we turned the corner, I remembered an old song. I got my education out behind the barn. Remember that one? All right, we're on the front side of the barn here, and you've got some other signs carefully placed. Talk about them, Bob.
this Texaco sign.
I like that one.
There's 4 different versions of it. They look exactly the same, but it's just the writing, like gasoline and motor oil, and one of them says filling station, and one of them just says Texaco where the gasoline is and motor oil underneath. They're all from the 40s or late 30s.
Well, there's a phrase you never even hear anymore. When's the last time you said, I'm going to the filling station?
No.
I don't. You don't say you're going to the service station for
No.
the most part, because services, the word service has taken on a whole new meaning these days, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Self-service is the what applies in most cases. But who would ever dream back when I was a kid that you'd pump your own gas?
Oh yeah.
Unless you knew the old guy that ran the filling station and he was taking a nap inside. And he let
they
you-
didn't want anybody to touch anything.
Anything.
Back then.
And full service meant windshield was cleaned, the oil was checked, the tire pressure was checked.
When was the last time you popped the hood when you drove in?
I think about that. Isn't that amazing? Goodrich tires, that's a nice sign. Is that pretty old, do you think?
Oh yeah, that's from the 40s or 50s. I don't know exactly the age of a lot of them, but because there's so many different versions like that Goodrich tire. There's vertical, horizontal, the same thing. They had in the writing they'd add a word to it. I have one on the other side of the barn. You'll see that's Canadian. The Shell sign, I have another one identical that I just found recently in the barn. I haven't got it hung up because basically I have no room for it. But I don't have any two the same
Really?
on display. There's no two the same. And this other shell is identical except for the squiggles. I don't know what they call. I think they call it serif, S-E-R-I-F, on the bottom.
That's an absolute new one for me. Serif?
I believe I found it somewhere. That I was trying to find out what it was called, and that's the best I could find. It's a little bit different, and so I kept the sign. Otherwise, I wouldn't want two of the same.
I don't know if we mentioned that on the air, but Bob was telling us that sometimes you will find a second one or a third one, or find somebody at a sale that has 2 or 3 identical signs, and at first you only wanted one, but later you realized, hey, I can take those other 2, maybe make enough to pay for this first one. And
Oh yeah, I passed up a lot of signs when I first started collecting because I didn't want to be burdened by them. I just wanted to collect them, find one at a time and put it up. And like you said, I realized that I could get a few dollars back and
sure,
buy some more.
I don't know about what is that? Amalie?
Amalie.
Amalie, Pennsylvania Motor Oil. I don't know if I've ever heard that brand name before.
Oh, that was all throughout the Northeast. They are just like all the gas companies have been bought up by other bigger ones over the years. It's just like the banks now. Every time you turn around, your
Absolutely.
bank is changing the name because a
Yep.
bigger conglomerate has bought it up.
Your mortgage is owned by another bank somewhere with a different name. I know what you mean.
So they've all been bought out, except for the bigger names that you still see. But
That's a nice diamond-shaped Sunoco sign. Did you buy that around here, do you think?
actually, that came from up in across the river in Saranac.
Really?
A little. There was a barn there. My son-in-law was up looking at some wood, a wood lot to cut, and I don't know how he seen it. He was with the owner, and he saw that in the barn, and he told the owner that my father-in-law collects that kind of stuff. Would you be interested in selling it? And the person said, yeah. So I went over and I found that, and I found the oil rack that's inside the garage. I'll show you that, and I got him.
Well,
I was happy to get him.
it's a funny thing because my son-in-law, Roger Wright, who just retired as a lieutenant in corrections a short time ago, is now in the real estate business. They tore down an old barn behind his place up on the Nashville Road, and there were a number of large and smaller signs and oil racks and oil cans and things. And
Well, when we get in the garage, I'm going to show you some that I got from him.
see how small the world is, Calvin. I told you everything is connected.
I worked with Roger.
Did you
For
really?
years.
Oh, come
yes. I
on.
worked at Clinton with him. I worked at Bear Hill on the midnight shift.
Well.
When he made sergeant, I made lieutenant, and we worked together on the midnight shift.
Isn't that-
at Bear Hill?
See? Yeah, all you got to do is talk to people
Oh,
and
yeah.
find out how things are connected. Well, he's married to our daughter Diane. We spent a lot of time together last night at that rehearsal dinner, and I remember when he found out, you know, a lot of that stuff that he saw back there in that shed. What am I going to do with all that junk? And I was just going crazy because they were, to me, every single old oil can was a treasure.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
every old sign was a treasure. And he got on eBay. Boy, did he learn how to buy and sell on eBay back in those days. He was a busy beaver.
Well, I can remember going there and looking at the stuff, and he had already sold some when I first went there, and I picked up a few items. I don't think I got any signs from him. I think it was just some cans and odds and ends stuff.
Him trying to sell signs and trying to package these signs. You told us about trying to wrestle that big one up there. Can you imagine trying to send that to somebody in California?
You're going to have to find somebody that's going to pay as much for postage as the sign.
Oh, yeah, to ship it.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. Have you done that?
Not with one that big. With there's 2 signs that I sent to a guy in Cheektowaga.
Did you really?
I told him when he first bought a small sign from me. Then he asked me if it was a wolf's head. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, very well.
Well, it was a small one, and he asked me if I had any other ones, and I didn't have them up for sale, but I had I think 5 at the time, and he said, "Send me 2 of them." I says, "Before I do, let me find out what it's going to cost, because it's going to cost you just as much for postage, probably, as the sign's going to cost." And he said he didn't care. Find out what it is, wrap them up, and I'll send you the money.
I like to do business that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So you did?
Oh, yeah, I did. And it did cost him about 3/4 of what he paid for the signs. He had to pay for postage. But he wanted them. He got them.
That's great. I love the mobile gas sign. That is so familiar. That flying horse, you know, is just embedded in your memory, as the Texaco signs are, and many of the others. Valvoline marine products. That's a neat one. Is that
Yeah,
the
it's-
only one of its kind that you have with the bubble shape?
Yeah, it's the only one. The only bubble type. There was a few different companies that put them out. And Valvoline did 3 or 4 different versions. That's the only one I've ever come across.
You know, the best part of it is you've taken some time when you put these signs up to make them symmetrical. I mean,
You notice that on this wall, not on the front and on the front and the back, but
it
this
looks
wall I
good there.
did.
There's a real balance there. I'm proud of you.
I had help.
Yeah. Did you really?
Oh yeah. My wife thought I was nuts. I was going out and measuring between the windows to try and get it balanced.
Isn't that
So it looked
amazing?
good.
Yeah, and it does. Like you said, there isn't much traffic up here on the Clark Hill Road. If you had this closer to town, you'd have a lot of gawkers.
Oh yeah.
You'd
Oh,
have
yeah.
people stopping by and saying, "Why do you do that? How do you do that?"
Exactly.
Whatever. But
Exactly.
wouldn't it be interesting if some of the people watching this program are now inspired
Invite them up.
to,
Tell them Gordy sent you.
yeah, to start a sign collection?
Well, they can start it right here.
Uh,
I've got some to sell.
do you really? Are you always have a few left
Oh
over
yeah.
that you want?
Oh yeah. There's inside the barn. I probably got 40 or 50.
Oh, come on. Here
Oh,
we
yeah.
go.
Oh yeah.
So just stop by, huh? Or give you a ring and
Yeah.
check it out. Do you have you don't have your own website, do you?
No. The computer, I can get on it and do the basics.
Yeah.
It's too complicated.
But would you welcome people sending you email about signs they have?
Oh
or
sure.
So what's
Sure.
your email address?
It's
I know it's Signman.
at localnet.com.
That's easy. So
Very-
it's SIGNMAN, all one word,
Yeah.
at localnet.com.
Yes, sir.
I can even remember that for 5 or 10 minutes. Well, I like what we see, and I suppose you got more on the other end of that barn too, huh?
Do you happen to know the coming out of Essex, New York, as you take the right-hand turn as you're coming into Essex and heading towards Waylandsburg, there's a barn at the bottom of the hill. It's actually, the locals call it the Quaker State Barn. I know you've been by it.
I'm
They
sure
used
I
to have about 5 or 6 Quaker State signs on it,
Oh,
like that. So one day, I told my wife, we've been by it 100 times, and I says, if I ever see somebody
I'm gonna
around,
stop.
because there's no house next to it.
Yeah.
So one day there was a lady there, and I stopped, and I asked her, do you have any, because the ones that you can see are real high, and they were getting well worn. So I said, do you have any other ones that aren't rusty that you'd like to sell? So she says there's one around the back, I think, that's covering a window. She says, do you want to go through and take a look?
I said, okay.
Yeah. So we run around the back, and it was covered with vines. I mean, you couldn't see it from 10 feet away. But I start cutting my way through, and there, hanging over the window that was broken, was that Quaker State
That
sign.
one?
And
Oh,
it-
that's a great
and
story.
it was covered so well the sun never got to it, or the weather didn't get to it, because it's just a tin.
there's
and that'll rust.
Not a single bullet hole in it.
Yep, it was in very good shape. And the only reason I've got it on this side of the barn, because the sun comes from the east, and you can see where the sun is right now. It never touches it.
Isn't
And the rain never touches, very little, if anything. Otherwise, it would be rusty. It'd
So
be
that's
shot.
the story of the Quaker State sign from the Quaker State barn, huh?
Took me about an hour and a half to get it.
Did it really?
Oh yeah.
Was it screwed on, nailed on?
Oh yeah, nailed
Oh,
on and every which way, and
Oh,
the nails
my
were
God.
bent.
Oh, my.
Oh yeah.
So you had to play with it a little bit. But you took it home that day?
Oh yeah.
You weren't going to drive away without it, I can tell.
No.
Oh, that's great. So you got more on the other side of the barn?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's take a walk. The longer I stay up here, the longer I'd like to stay up here. I love this spot. I can understand why you fell in love with it all those years ago, Bob.
Well, if you love it that much, it's for sale.
Oh, no. You want to move now?
Well, if the price is right.
Oh, God. If you want to buy a sign, buy the barn, right?
Sure.
If you want to buy the barn, buy the house.
Buy it all.
I love it. Oh, you got some neat neat signs on this side. Tidal and Sinclair, HC Gasoline, Esso, Gulf Dealers. Boy, these are wonderful stuff.
The Tidal is a Flying A, as you see. I don't know if you remember the Gene Autry show.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still
So
on
does Calvin. He's a huge
TV.
fan.
That used to be the sponsor for years, Flying A.
Okay. Calvin's the biggest cowboy fan I've ever met in my life, and he's collected memorabilia and books, and we've talked about it often because Tom Tyler, one of the great cowboy stars of all time, was born and brought up down near Witherby in Port Henry in that area.
I seen the article just
Did you?
recently
Yeah.
about him.
And Calvin's done a lot to promote him through comic books and everything else to keep the history alive. So yeah, we remember those days.
Now that Gulf dealer sign is probably one of the few that I've ever replaced. I had a different Gulf sign there for years, and that was a 6-footer, and now I found this one, which was harder to find. And if you notice on the Gulf, on the lettering, the lines underneath,
Yes.
that means that it's like the original Gulf big sign that size. I think that's 66 inches instead of 72, which is 6 feet. And so I was glad to find this one and replace the more common one that I had there before. I like this one a lot better.
I bet you sold the other one too. You can't
Oh
fool
yeah.
me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've had a lot of them. Them big Gulfs ones are very common. They're the most common ones up here.
Yeah, but who would ever know that the lines make a difference? I would never have known that till you told me.
When you get involved in the stuff, you learn.
Then you do, yeah.
You learn.
And Castrol, I don't know if they still make that or not. But
I don't think so.
I
No.
remember that.
Yeah.
Of course, Atlantic Refining.
Yeah, there's a pair of them, but they're not very good shape. But them are from the 20s or 30s. They're hard
very
to find
old.
with the crossed arrows on them.
Well, you know what? Can you expect a sign is out in the weather? You know, it's either independently or on a building. And in the old days, these companies would go at a farm and say, "Can we put a sign on your barn?"
Oh yeah.
So you drive by and see signs still on barns that have been there for 70, 80 years. You know?
The porcelain signs, if they're untouched, they'd be almost as good as the day they were put up 100 years ago.
Really?
You can't hurt porcelain. The sun, if they're done baked properly, the sun won't bother them in the rain or snow. But it's when it's sitting in water, it will eventually get to it. Or when you throw things.
Yeah.
And when people nailed them on, that was the biggest injury to any of the signs. If you can notice on almost every sign where the holes are to put them on the wall is where there's always damage there, because people press too hard, or we didn't have screws and screw guns back then.
Yeah, right.
And so they were almost always nailed, and you'd always get that last bang with the hammer would do the damage.
Of course. That's what happens when you hit porcelain, right?
Yeah. I was telling you about the Goodrich signs. This one here is vertical and it's Canadian. Got the pnuts.
I have no idea what that means. Is that a French word?
I was told it's tires.
Oh, really?
Now, somebody may call you and tell you that I was wrong.
Oh, well, I never mind. I let all my foibles and faux pas hang right out there and let people call me, because that's how I get my education. Depends. You really got everything symmetrical here. This is so neat. You really spent some time on
A little
this
bit,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, with the Gulf on the top, the Mobile and Pennzoil with the crooked Z. That was pretty common.
Yeah.
And the Sinclair sign again on the side. I love it.
The city service is something, I don't know if they were ever in this area.
I remember city services, don't you? I think I have a memory of city services, but it's very hazy.
If they were here, they weren't very big.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I love to look at old barns anyway. There are lots of people who do photographs of barns and histories of old barns. And this barn just kind of has settled right into the territory.
Oh, yeah,
hasn't it, over the
it's
years?
been here for a while.
Yeah.
I don't really know how long, but it's still in good shape.
You use it kind of as a shop or to store things?
No,
or
store. It's
storage?
loaded.
It's loaded.
The more room you got, the more stuff you save.
Oh, that's the way it is. And then you run out of room. Like Kay and I living in a 6-bedroom house where we raised all of our kids. And guess what? We could use a bigger house. We had to clear out 3 bedrooms for guests to come for this wedding. And that was a chore to take all the stuff you store in
Yep.
one room and move it to another room. So, oh, there's never enough room. Are you kidding?
And if I decide to sell, I'm going to have to paint the barn again because there's going to have hundreds of holes from all the screws.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to have to paint it right away.
Are you actually thinking seriously of moving
Yes.
off this?
Moving?
Yeah.
No, but like I said, if the price is right,
Oh, boy. You could find another.
everything's for sale.
You could find another beautiful spot on.
I don't think so.
We have beautiful spots here in the North Country, and I love to take a lot of time to point that out. We have the best of just about all worlds here, don't we, here in Clinton County? Think about it.
It's one of the nicest spots I've ever seen,
Yeah.
if not.
There's a lot of beautiful peace and quiet with a
Beautiful view of Lime
When-
Mountain right there.
Oh, my gosh. It's just, you know, the mountains around us, the trees, the sound of the birds.
When we first moved in here, from the roof, I could see Lake Placid. From when I was up on the roof, I remember I could see Lake Placid, but the trees have grown up so much I can't
Yeah.
see through now.
But it's amazing. It is a good spot. It's really, really nice. And you even put a weather vane on your garage when you built it in
Yeah.
'95,
Put
huh?
a cupola in the weather vane.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought it was a nice touch.
We should all have a garage that size. Mine's 24 by 24, and we got little spaces for 2 vehicles.
There is no garage that's too big.
No.
When I first went to build this, I told the guy what I wanted, the size. He says nope. He says go 2 feet this way more and 2 feet this way more, and I did. And I'm sorry I didn't go another 6 feet.
Another 6. Isn't that amazing? Well, we can see through the window. There's a beautiful gas pump in there. How many gas pumps do you have?
I have 4.
Do you?
4 restored.
Oh,
I have some unrestored in the barn.
Do you really? Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, I love the gas pumps. Are there more signs in the back of the
No.
barn? That's it.
That's
No,
untouched.
we did it. You leave that one for the horse to look at,
Yeah,
huh?
that's his side of the barn.
So what's next? Inside the garage?
Sure.
Let's go do it. We're making memories today. It's kind of nice. We're inside the garage now, Bob. And first thing I looked at was that mirror with the City Hall service station. Compliments of
Charles Rousset.
Charlie Rousset. Wow. Look at the phone number. If I can see it, 2490 Knight 2833.
Yep. That's way back when.
Oh, isn't
And-
that great?
The picture's a little risque for that time.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know, it would be 40s, wouldn't you say? Would you guess?
40s or 50s.
And you picked that up in a garage sale?
Yes, I did. The same day I picked up a Faux Bear Buick mirror
Oh, my
from
goodness.
Malone.
Yeah, of course.
I never hung that out here. It's still upstairs in the house.
I love it. Look at what he's got up here. Maps. You took that off somebody's wall or in an old service station or what?
No, I found that at a yard sale too, from a gentleman that used to work for golf, or still does, down in Lewis, New
Isn't
York.
that
Oh,
amazing?
yeah.
Used to be able to stop at a service station.
Get your map for
Get a
free.
map for free. Try it now for free.
$4.95.
Yeah. Unless you want a big map, then it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
That's great. And Metro, what's Metro?
Metro was a small gas company that out of Jamestown, New York. They were, I don't know how long they existed, but Mobil bought them out
Oh,
back in the 40s or 50s, and You remember I was telling you about the signs?
Yeah, 941.
Yep, that's the month and the year. The
You-
AM is the company.
Who would guess? Doesn't it look like it was just made this morning?
Well, that's in perfect shape.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And down below, something that's very familiar to most people here, and we've seen those turned into lamps. and
Everything.
Everything imaginable.
It's
Those
not
are-
working, but it's.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen hundreds of them at yard sales, but that's the first one that I bought, and I just kept it.
I like
I
it.
don't know. I found a spot for it. It just fits there.
It's perfect.
It looks like it belongs
You
here.
wouldn't believe the stuff I got in between the doors of my garage that way. Well, let's just look around here. Oh my goodness, he's got a 7-Up sign.
Oh yeah, that's Canadian, American.
With a thermometer.
Yeah.
Some of these signs we can't even see. You got them everywhere in here. I like this the
Red seal.
red seal batteries.
That is an old one. That's from the 20s, and you can see the condition. It's
Yeah.
very good, except the thermometer's missing. It
Oh,
got
well.
broke at some point, and I've been going to replace it, but I just never got around to it. I've actually got a thermometer up in the barn that might fit it that I bought. I bought an old rusty thermometer, advertising thermometer, but in it you could barely read it, but I bought it just on the off chance that the actual thermometer would fit this, but I haven't got around to it.
Yeah,
I have a lot of works in progress.
we all have a lot of those round two-its, don't we? Huh? Everybody needs round two-its. And then that's a Prestone. That's a nice one.
Prestone made 3 of them, identical except for the wording on the bottom in the red.
Uh-huh.
And I have all 3 of them in
Do you?
there.
Of course you
yes.
would. You
Of course
wouldn't-
I do.
You wouldn't rest till you had them all.
Took me a long time to find the 3rd one, but I've got them all.
That's great. What's this? Charles Berry Taxi, long and short trips? What is that?
That's one of them things that I don't remember where I got it. It's just a piece of cardboard advertising,
He buys signs in his sleep.
but I don't remember where I got that. And I just put it in the frame, and as you can see, it's slid down. It's, I've been trying to figure out where I got it, but I just can't remember that.
95R2. That must have been a phone number.
Yeah, yep.
Isn't that interesting? And below that, what is a customer to Gulf Oil
That's-
Corporation?
That's an interesting piece. I've never seen another one similar to it. It's just paper that they had in their gas stations way back when. And it just tells you how they value their customers. You wouldn't see anything like that in any business in this day and age.
It's amazing, huh? Let us never forget how vitally important the customer is to our business.
Got that title, 22.7.
That's actually a Gulf sign for the price of gas. They had hundreds of them. They interchanged them. They even went as far as doing tenths. I mean, it's always been tenths of a cent, but they had 7 tenths, 9 tenths, 8 tenths.
Isn't that amazing? And it's interesting for young people to look at a sign like that, and that's why Calvin chuckled, because we're now, as we're recording this in the summer of 2005, gasoline is and most stations around here, well over $2.33.9 a gallon. And I can remember the 22-cent days, and I've often talked about it, and my kids used to look at me, 25 cents a gallon, 5 gallons for $1. Amazing.
I can remember when I was in Kansas, in the Army, and they were having a gas war back in '68, and they were down to 17.9 cents. They were going right across the street, 2 gas stations, going back and forth, dropping the rates, 17 cents.
That was good for you in those days.
Well, I didn't have a car back. I was in the service. No.
But
But
why
I
you-
remember the prices.
You got everything jammed in here. This is beautiful. Let me just look at-
Interesting piece is this wooden plaque
Let's get a little closer so even I can read it.
from the Saucony Corporation. It's just an appreciation of meritorious service rendered by this gentleman I got this over in Vermont at a yard sale, but it's from 1959, and he did 41 years of service. So he started in 1918 working for Saucony, and that's what they give him for 41 years, a piece of wood.
Holy Borlang, huh?
Yeah,
That's very neat.
it's different.
I've never seen anything quite like that.
Well, I have different ones that are made, that are in here that are metal, but that's the only wooden one. I have one other paper one, but that one's interesting.
I love that motor oil thermometer up there. That's, once again, that's that company,
Amalie.
Amalie, that I never heard of.
Yeah,
You know, it looks like that thermometer's pretty accurate, too.
most of them are. There's probably 30 thermometers in here. And they're-
Are there really? Most of them
Yeah.
work pretty
Yeah.
good, huh?
Yep. That RC Cola, I actually bought that before I collected signs. When we first moved in here, there was a different porch that we had. It was a total closed-in porch, and we had no thermometer. So down the road on Route 3 in Saranac, there was a yard sale. I stopped, and they had that sitting there, so I bought that, and that hung inside the porch for 10 years until we remodeled it. So I wasn't even collecting signs at the time. It was just a functional piece at that time. Now it's a sign.
I love it. My eyes are just running everywhere. Autolite battery cables. Isn't that a neat? The lifeline of your car. I don't believe I've ever seen a sign quite like that one. Was that on a building, do you think?
No, that would be
somewhere?
on a display cabinet of some sort.
Oh, I see.
All the displays that they used to have for the cans or bottles, the collectors take the signs off them.
Oh, they do?
Oh yeah, and sell the signs and collect the signs. You'll see some that I have that are still together, but a lot of them take them apart.
This is an amazing place. I feel like a child in a candy store here
Now,
today.
that big Texaco in the center is similar to the one out on the barn, except
Yes.
the one on the barn says gasoline and motor oil, and this one says Texaco motor oil. So it's different, because I don't want two of the same.
Our restrooms are certified
Oh yeah.
for your health, cleanliness, and safety. Oh, great
And,
signs.
The Saucony up above the Texaco is identical to the one that's on the barn that I told you was curved.
Yeah.
This one is flat. This one come on a later, newer pump, probably from the 40s. The year is on it, but I can't see it from here.
Nor can I, but it's lovely. I'm just looking around at some of these, some that I've heard of, some I haven't. Dayton Thorough Tread.
Tires.
Yeah, tires.
Yeah, they still make tires.
They do?
Yeah.
Dayton?
Yeah.
That's not one familiar. Pure Pep.
Yeah, Pure, that's from the middle of the country. It's a big company out there.
Be sure with Pure. Huh?
Yeah.
Vidal, I remember that. Wynn's car care products. SO, you have a lot of SO signs, don't you? Mobile gas?
No, not a lot of ESO, no.
Not too many? I saw
No.
one or two outside.
Yeah, there is, but I don't have a lot. I have more golf than anything. Golf is my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
For any special reason? Just because?
Well, as you can see above, them are all golf pump plates. They all went on pumps.
Oh, no kidding.
And the reason it's my favorite is because there's so many and they're easier to find.
Yeah.
So I tried to get as many of them as I could. I think I've got like 24 different ones.
And most of those are in great shape.
Yeah, but now they're starting to get hard to find, the other ones that I haven't got yet.
So
Back here to this Shell gasoline.
Over here, yeah, the Shell.
This is, well, what I was told, I bought this in Vermont from a guy that had it hanging inside his garage. And he told me it was for a station in Rouse's Point, and they never hung it. As you can see, the condition is almost perfect. And if you look on the right-hand bottom, you'll see a little bit of writing. There's actually a little plastic sticker, and it has 1929 on it.
Wow.
And it's never been hung. The other side is just as good as this side. That is my nice sign, I think.
Really, you like that? I
Yeah.
like it too.
Small
1929.
version. It's harder to find than the bigger versions.
Yeah, 929. Shell Petroleum Corporation. I'm just, it boggles my mind as I look around here and look at all these.
And I'm sure you remember these little plastic thermometers that
Oh
I have around the
my
window.
goodness, yes.
They actually call them lollipop thermometers
Do they
because of
really?
the shape.
I haven't seen any in a long, long time now.
No.
And I probably
Even
would have
though
missed
they're-
them if you hadn't just brought that up.
Even though they're plastic, they're not that old, but they're
Yeah.
from the 50s and 60s. They're still hard to find.
Yep. That's a nice Willard thermometer up there too.
Yeah, I've had that for quite a long time.
And the license plates, how did that get involved in this?
Well, it's just like the signs. I started finding them at yard sales, and I says, well, maybe I can find a place to put them. So I did different versions until I decided to start putting them in order.
Chronological, huh? Chronological
Yeah.
order.
I'm only missing very few of the earliest. The first one here is 1911, and then I'm missing 12, and then I have every other one, every year, all the way around the garage, goes to 64, which is the last year that they embossed the year on it, so I quit saving them, collecting them.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
They
But
started the stickers, the paper stickers, and they didn't put the years on them anymore.
these are all New York plates.
Just New York, yeah.
And this shows me that there were different colored ones in the beginning, and I did not know that.
Well, the colored ones are porcelain.
They are.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
That's
boy.
why the condition is better. They're not fired as well. When I say fired, put in the oven as
Yeah.
well as the signs were, so they don't last as good as the signs. But they're out in the weather constantly.
The orange and black ones are the ones that are most familiar to us, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, those are great. Oh, he's got the old, I've seen the old WEAV 960 clocks.
Oh yeah.
I've looked at them many times when I worked there.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
It works. It's just that I don't keep it plugged in because whenever we lose power, I got to come in here. I had 3 clocks, I think, hanging, so I did it for a while, and then I get tired. Have to come in and adjust every time you lose
That's
power.
like all the wind-up clocks that I have in my house.
Yeah.
Wherever you look, you can see something different, and some, anything you want to mention.
There's another version of that Prestone
Oh, yes.
antifreeze. It's just the wording on the bottom in the red that's different.
Set safe sure. Huh?
Yeah.
That's right over in the corner here, next
Very
to the
corner.
weed clock.
Thermometer.
Yep, the thermometer. Oh boy, this
And as
great.
you can, I don't know if you can see on the floor here. There's
We'll just walk
different
closer. Oh, you got
racks, display
you got
racks,
display racks.
different ones. You got
Did
Goodyear.
one of those come from Rogers Place, do you think, or not?
No.
No,
No.
those are
No.
neat.
I know one of the Bardol came from Pennsylvania. And one of them came from Vermont. And the Goodyear came from Moira.
No, my hometown. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh, yeah. There's a gentleman there that has a antique shop out on 95 as you leave Moira.
I don't know who that would be. I haven't lived there since 1955.
He runs,
so,
he runs a concrete business.
I go back every now and again.
Yeah. And we have the old Sunoco rack that used to be out on the island.
Oh, this blue one right here.
Yeah. If you remember, it has they call them accordion type
Doors?
doors. I won't pull it all the way down, but I don't know if I can pull it at all.
I think it's stuck.
It's stuck. But it
I
would
know
go down
what it
to
looks
close,
like.
they would close it at night, and just lock it, there's a key lock, and they would close it at night and leave the oil cans in it, and you never had to worry back then.
Isn't it amazing? Whole
Never
different
had to,
ballgame.
nobody stole
Yeah.
like they do now.
Yeah. As I looked down, everything will have different meaning, I think, in memories for our viewers. I saw a can of Flit down there that was made by Esso,
Oh, yeah.
and that became like Kleenex became a common name for tissues, you know?
Yes.
Like, and there was always a spray, one of those spray things.
You'll see.
Have you got one in
Oh,
here?
I've got a couple.
And my mother would say, "Get the Flit."
I've actually got, I collected them specifically, not gasoline ones, but any brand of them
kidding.
Flits. I've got about 20 of them up in the barn.
Oh, come on.
It's, now that bottom rack with the, where the Flit is, them are all
All spray insect killers.
sprays. And they had the 3 dreaded letters, DDT.
Oh,
That's,
isn't that amazing?
yeah.
And how much DDT did we put on everything there was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
We
times
all
that
inhaled it, and
we sure did, and here we are today. Boy, you got that Kendall 2,000-mile
that one's,
thermometer.
that's seen better days.
It's still pretty accurate, though.
Oh, yeah, it's accurate, but the paper is crumbling apart inside there.
You know, I was driving past the A to Z pet food store that we mentioned with the Rosettes, and out I went to get some bird food, and they had a greyhound pet little thing set up with greyhounds there, and they try to find homes for the
Yes.
greyhounds. And it's a nationwide campaign. And as I looked at these dogs, who obviously they weren't of any use to the people who'd owned them after their racing days were done, and you know, people love to adopt them. They're really beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
beautiful
yeah.
dogs. And that put me in mind of that when I looked at the greyhound line.
That's an oldie.
That's a beautiful
That's
one.
definitely an oldie. Hard to find. Hard to find in that condition. That one looks like it's been hit with BBs
I think so.
from the smaller marks.
Oh my! I just
And if you notice, license plate, there's a lot of license plate attachments in here, but that one's my favorite one from Adley Stevenson.
oh come
Back,
on!
he ran for president back
Yeah.
in '52 and '56, and naturally he didn't win. But I found 3 of them in a shop one day, and I had to have them.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah,
Just wonderful. And then this gas pump, which would date from when, do you think?
'50s. It's not an old '50s, early '60s.
That's old. For somebody who's 18, that's
Yeah.
pretty old.
But
Even
But-
for Calvin, that's
shall
pretty old.
I say it? For us, it really isn't that.
Yeah, I know.
It
I
isn't.
love it.
but,
It's in nice shape. Did you recondition this one yourself?
No,
or-
I didn't do any of them. I don't have the equipment because most of these are sandblasted and spray painted professionally. I mean, they're done, as you can see. They look
Did a
very
beautiful job.
nice. Yeah. Underneath it, you remember the water cans. That's an actual water can. It was just an old rusty one that I found at a sale, and I spray painted it with just a can of spray paint and put decals on it to match the pump.
I love it.
And I don't know if you noticed, but what you were leaning on a minute ago,
Yes, I did notice. Funeral, no parking, please.
that's one of the first things I don't know why. I had to have it. It was, this is, anybody that's ever been a collector did the same thing that I did with this sign. I stopped in a shop in Malone, and I seen this there. So I asked the guy, how much you want? He says, $25. Well, this was like 10 years ago when I first started collecting. Well, I said $25. Back then, $25 was a lot of money. And I just didn't, I said, nah, I can't. He wouldn't talk price. So I walked out of there, and I wasn't a mile down the road, and I started thinking, why didn't I take it?
Oh, gosh, have we been
I-
down that road before?
Anybody that's ever collected has done this.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I thought about it, but I said, no, I'm not gonna. So I went home, and I think for a week I stewed about it. And I thought about it. And I think the next week I happened to go to Malone again. So I said to myself, I'm going to stop in there and take a look. I stopped in there. The sign was still there. It was in a corner. And I talked to him about it again. He decided, because he's had it for a while, to come down $5. So here it is. And I was glad to get it.
He saw you and he knew Robert was going to come back.
Now they have just plastic signs that they put out,
Oh, yeah.
because if you put one of these out today, somebody's going to steal
It
it.
would be gone, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that's brass.
You got some nice AAA signs. You got one for St. Lawrence County, Canajoharie, several. You got Auburn,
That's Auburn, Maine, actually.
Oh, it is?
I got that up in Maine.
but there's an Auburn, New York one
Yep,
too.
yep, that's from my hometown. And remember Pearl Harbor, World War II one.
My goodness.
They had,
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the little racks next to them with the tubes,
yeah,
the dories.
you remember them,
Oh my goodness.
the little tubes of grease that you used
Oh,
to
gosh.
put on your door hinges when they
Isn't
squeak.
that amazing? That was before the days of WD-40. You know that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that neat? Great memories.
I made the rack.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how a way to display the ones that go sideways like that.
Yeah.
So I just took some old wood and drilled holes in it. And it's not the nicest thing, but it holds them.
Oh, that's great. It's caught my eye. I love that. Everywhere I look, it's memories for me, and I hope that's true for other people too. Wow, look at this old. Well, you got a flit. I see your
Oh yeah, there's my flit, and there's a golf one up there, and there's a shell one.
shell and flit. Boy, you got some great old cans. That Kendall motor oil can in the middle.
Yeah, that's an old one.
We're talking ancient now.
Yeah.
We're talking about very, very old stuff. And the tops, you don't have any glass jars, right? But you got the
Oh,
tops for them, or
Oh,
do
we do.
just
We'll
did?
get to
Oh,
it.
we didn't get there. Okay,
We'll get to it.
I'm sorry.
There's the third one of the press stones.
Yes, there is.
That's-
Magnetic film prevents rust.
Yep. Next to that, I have to look at it to remember what it is. It's a,
Northern Liberties Gas Company. You mean that sign?
it's just a certificate for stock
Oh, is
certificate.
that what it is?
For a company back in, well, I probably won't find the year. Well, it's dated 1854.
Wow.
I got that for a Christmas present from my daughter, from my daughters.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Even got the windshield wiper.
Yep. Anko.
Anko still very popular today, safe for driving and
Yeah.
storms ahead.
I got that, and there's
Oh,
still
look at this.
there's still wipers in it with wax paper covers. You haven't seen wax paper covers in many
Oh,
years.
I guess not.
I got that at Bridge Street Auction.
Did
One
you
of the
really?
first, one of the first things I ever. It's the first thing I ever bought at Bridge Street Auction.
Oh,
I remember buying that.
he's a good guy, and we've been down there with him. We did one fairly recently when a gentleman was selling his entire collection of railroad memorabilia, 5,000 pieces.
Oh.
The guy getting out of the business, and I don't know if he cried, but I was crying before we were through. It's 40 years of history, you know.
You remember the reflectors that used to be on trucks that they'd have on
Oh, I
their.
see it behind this WIC sign.
Yeah, there's a couple different ones in here.
Yep. And you got lots of cans of all kinds.
Oh, yeah.
Boxes, detour signs.
That detour's got the marbles in it, the reflective marbles. So
Isn't that-
so when you pull in at night, it lights up.
You got some very old stuff here. You got the Defender motor oil can that probably dates back First World War.
Yeah, and actually, it's full.
Come
Now, I don't know, and the tag is still on it, there's still a paper tag on it. And I don't know if it's the original oil that came in it originally, or if it's been refilled many times, but I got it from a gentleman that owned it for many years.
Oh, these are real treasures. These shelves are great for me.
Well, as you notice, I run out of room on the shelves, so I have to make my own shelves up
shelves
above
back
to
up
put the
there for-
cans and bottles, small things. It's just not enough room.
Household oil, or handy oil, so handy oil. You know, I remember
Oh, yeah.
those cans always being around the house, 3-in-1 oil.
Everybody had them.
And spark plugs.
Yep, outboard. That's the only outboard piece I've got in here. I actually bought it by mistake. I didn't realize it was outboard.
I saw a sign for marine oil or marine gas that you had over
Yeah,
there.
but the gas is different.
Yeah,
Yeah. Old Texaco box, wooden box, that's
that's pretty old.
from the teens or early 20s.
Oh, seal test ice cream. Now we're getting somewhere.
Well, I remember buying ice cream bars at a gas station when I was a kid.
Of course.
So I try to keep just things that are related to gas station in here.
That's the girds.
There's the Gerd's
There's the
dry
Gerd's.
ginger ale,
Yeah.
and that's completely new to me. I'll have to try my own search. I'll try to Google that.
And the sign is in good condition because the people, whoever utilized it, actually made their own sign,
Oh, look at this, a no parking sign on the back.
and that's why
That part was saved.
yep, was saved.
Well, that's a Gerd since 1868,
Yep, this is from 36.
1936. Well, that's completely new to me. You got little tractors and tricycles here.
Well, I got 3 grandkids, and
Oh, isn't that?
I like the old, what I was brought up on.
Sure.
Now, I bought that Murray tractor, and I actually bought it because I thought I knew somebody that would buy it from me.
Oh.
I brought it here and put it here, and the grandkids come over, and they just loved it. And I couldn't understand when they had all the plastic ones that are so much easier to utilize, how they would like that, and it makes so much noise because it wiggles back and
Of
forth.
course it does. That's why they like it.
But it's still here.
I love it. Oh, God.
There's another sign that actually a gentleman down the road stopped one day, and he was originally from Boston, and he says, goes in his back seat and he pulls this out and he says, I know you're collecting the signs because we gave him some flowers one year.
Yeah.
He stopped one day and talked to my wife, and she dug up some flowers, gave them to him. And he came back, I think it was like 2 years later, and brought this, and he says, I know you collect signs, would you like this? Yes, thank you very much. And so that sign is from a train station in Boston.
Is it really?
That's where he got it
Significant.
when he was a kid.
That word means a lot, as we just did a tour of the old Moore's Junction train station that's being restored. That's, and the D&H in Rouse's Point, same thing, another junction. It's just crazy. You even got the nozzles, old nozzles.
A few nozzles from the pumps, just filling in spots until I
Yeah,
find
you're
a sign to put
filling
in
the
there.
spots and racks, and look at the stuff here.
Old belt
Oh, yeah.
for checking the length of belts to put on your vehicles.
Oh, yeah. Haven't seen one of those in many, many, many years either.
Yeah.
You just stuff.
Lots of-
Marvel Mystery Oil.
Everybody uses
They
that.
still make it.
Yes.
Everybody still makes it, puts it in engine. Every time we redo an engine,
Yeah.
build an engine, you use Marvel Mystery Oil. I see more here. Great stuff. Vulcanizing valve heat units. Don't you love it?
Oh, yeah. I got
D.F. Goodrich.
yeah. This is probably my oldest can, I think.
Oh, look at this. I've
From
seen those tops.
Atlantic Atlantic Refining Company. And it's just,
A wax coating for cars.
yeah,
Liquid gloss.
it's for preparation for cleaning, renovating, and polishing pianos, household and office furniture.
Oh, my goodness.
And the graphics on there just tell you that it gives away its age. It's from the teens or the
That's
early
beautiful.
20s.
Beautiful. Oh, that's a classic. Boy, how many times have you pulled up and put air in your tires from?
You don't see them
Oh,
around very often anymore.
oh
The old
my
echo meters.
Oh my goodness, yes. And it clicks every time you, does it make a bell every time you change the?
Well, I don't have a compressor, so it's not hooked up.
Aha.
It's not hooked up.
I think I remembered that every time you changed it to different
Yes.
pounds, it would ting, ting, make a sound.
Oh yeah, just like the gas pumps. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
used to turn them around to get them
Now
back
you
to
got
zero.
another big Saucony sign here.
Yeah, it's similar to the one on the barn, but the one on the barn is mobile gas. This one is Saucony.
Yeah.
Mobile bought out Saucony. And actually in the year, this is from 1936.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe the one on the barn is from 36, so that leads you to believe that they bought them out in 1936.
Yeah. That's very good deduction, isn't it?
That's right.
That's
And
very
this
good.
one took 3 of us to hang.
I would imagine
I
it
had to
did.
build a hanger to, you see the cross piece I put
Yes, I
above?
sure do.
And to put the hooks in, that's heavy.
Decorate the cross piece too.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, he's got decorations on the cross piece.
Well, you got to utilize the space.
Those are nice.
uh,
Some of those are beautiful.
Old attachments. Well, yeah, some of them are actually for bicycles. Even that one in the dead center that with the wings is Goodrich.
That's
You used
pretty.
to put that on your bicycle way back when.
Yeah. Now we get down here to the,
This is the rack that I told you about that I found up in Saranac with the sign that's on the barn. But when I found this rack, there was just some gold showing through. It was just coated with like 50 years of dirt and grease, and it sat in the barn. And I spent many, many hours cleaning this up, and it's actually a light-up sign.
no kidding.
I think you'll be able to see very well in the daylight, but if you look at the Sunoco, the holes,
Of course you can see it.
the
Look
light-
at it.
at nighttime, it's actually, you can't describe how neat it really looks.
Oh, man.
With the light coming through. I had to replace all the wiring and all the
Did you?
fixtures inside, because they were just all shot.
Oh, I love it.
And it's missing the top rack. There was 3 racks it held. The third rack would be on top of this, elevated, so it would be above the mercury-made portion there. But I thought about replacing that, which is one of the things I never got around to. I have just one Sunoco bottle. All the rest are,
Don't drop it, Cody.
Oh, no.
they're
Isn't that beautiful?
what we call generic.
Yeah.
I mean, they had names on them, but they were the more common ones.
Yeah.
It's the ones that were painted that had the company logo on them that are harder ones to
But
find.
generally reconstituted oil, right? Or was it? Because the ones, when we had our first cars, we'd buy they called it reconstituted oil. And you'd go, and it was like half as expensive as regular oil because it was oil that had come out of, that had already been used, that was filtered
Yeah,
and strained and put in bottles again. And what did we know for those old cars,
Nope.
$35 cars?
yep. And you took your rack home with you, and the bottles actually had a cover, just like a thimble.
Yep,
They looked just like a little thimble.
a cap over the top.
Yep. And you emptied them, and you came back just like milk bottles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Been there, done that. Wait a minute, we got a bell.
If you look right at the bottom of your feet, when you drive in and out of the garage,
Oh, boy, is that a familiar sound?
you get that sound every time you drive in and out.
Do you know, you see, it's so familiar to me, it just brings back a flood of memories, but our young people, again, who are watching this program, will have no clue why you would want one of those in front of your gas pumps. Well,
Yeah.
the reason is because the guy inside the store was, reading the paper or selling cigarettes or doing whatever, and if he heard that, he'd go outside and pump your gas.
Yeah, and there's still a few around that have it.
I haven't seen one in a very long,
I know.
long time.
Tedford's right here in Saranac still have theirs.
Do they
Yes, they
really?
do. Yep.
Isn't that cool? I haven't heard that sound in quite a while. All right, we just moved down a little bit. I love these racks. Let's talk about them.
You remember Tire Patch Kids when you were a kid?
Of course.
Well,
I still have quite a few like this in my garage.
I had forgotten about them for years, and when I started collecting this stuff, I realized that there are thousands of different ones, literally thousands of them, made by so many different companies, and I really got into collecting them. I believe I have about 150 different ones just of the Tire Patch Kits. You have the one rack that is tire talc. Do you remember
Oh, yes,
the talc that you
absolutely.
put on your tubes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it wouldn't
it
rub?
pinch and rub, yeah.
And it didn't really work, but it
Well,
was
of course not, but
it was a
made us
gimmick.
made
Yeah.
us feel good, yeah.
And you had your cement that you used. I have the different cement, some of the different
Up
cements
above,
up above.
and I've seen almost every one of these cans and held them in my hand at one time.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s and 50s when tires were scarce, you just patched them,
Oh yeah, and repatched them and repatched them.
Repatched the tubes on your bicycle, of course. You did that all day long.
Oh yeah, because they
You
didn't
couldn't-
last.
They didn't last, and you couldn't afford to buy new tubes all the time.
No.
We had so many patches on some of those old bicycle tubes that you couldn't even tell where the rubber ended and the patch started, huh?
And there's some signs up above.
Elixir, top cylinder oil, yes.
That's an only 10 cents
Yeah.
and 20 cents. 20 cents was the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. There's a
Wait a minute. He wants to see, where was that? We were just looking at that 10 cents. Oh, right up here, Elixir. Yeah, new life for your engine.
I don't know if you remember Marmac Motors in Sable.
Yes.
There's a little thermometer with a mirror.
Chrysler and Plymouth. Yeah, Sable Forks, phone 67R.
That's an oldie.
That's an oldie, is
That's
right.
definitely from the 30s or 40s, I would say.
And there's another Elixir
Another
sign
Elixir,
right behind us
yeah.
here. Let me get out of your way, Calvin. More racks
More of
with
them.
maps.
Recognition from Gulf Company from 1938. That's another wooden one, and there's a paper award from 45 from Texaco.
Great. Fram oil chill. Look at the tool rack.
Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Okay, that's just the regular, what's the material?
Fiberboard?
Yeah, fiberboard, yeah. Now, do you
Yeah.
remember using these over the
Oh,
years?
yes. Can I use your restroom?
And you had to take the key with you.
You had to
Well, they
take it.
still do it in a lot of places.
Oh, that's like brand spanking new, like it never hung up.
From 1958, it was never used.
Is
Come
it?
right out of the package.
Oh, did it really?
Oh yeah, when I got it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Well, this is a great place, but we haven't seen all the gas pumps yet.
Nope, they're not.
And they're on the porch. And we could spend another hour in here with no trouble at all because you've got your signs in every nook and cranny. I'm amazed that you don't have them plastered to the floor except you put your vehicles
Yeah, it'd be
in.
kind of hard. Yeah.
That would be kind of hard to do. It's fun just to figure out where to put the next one.
Well, I'm running out of room. That's my problem.
This is a feel-good hobby. It's certainly a feel-good hobby for me to stay here and talk to you about it because it's connected with almost every one of our viewers. Something in here has brought back a memory for anybody over 50 years,
Oh yeah.
and some for people even younger than that. So what do you say we go and look at some gas pumps? I like that idea.
I could.
Okay, we're on the porch. I knew we'd get in here eventually. I love these gas pumps. Let's talk about this one.
Well, this was something we found on the way back on a trip. We went to a wedding in Auburn, and we were coming back in Mexico, New York.
Been there many times.
We seen a sign down the road, yard sales. We went down the road and never found the yard sale, but my wife said, stop the car. Or, well, it was a truck at the time, but she said, stop the truck. And I stopped, and there was a building collapsed. And underneath the collapsed building, actually holding half of the boards up, was this pump, not in this condition, with the doors missing. And so we stopped. I went up to the house, and there was a lady answered the door. I says, you want to sell that pump? She said, sure. So we went out there and we loaded it. It was her father's, and she said he don't want it. And it was, the doors were on the ground with
Oh,
the
the
actual,
doors were there.
They were there with the actual. These are the original signs that came on it.
Come on.
Yeah, and we were loading it, and when they have the pump, the actual pump inside of it still, they're heavy. They're like 200 pounds.
Oh, sure.
And the two of us, we just couldn't get it in. I ended up in the emergency room that night because I ripped my leg open.
I knew there'd be
I
a story. Oh, you cut your leg on it?
Yeah, I had to get a tetanus shot.
Oh,
Yeah, in Malone on the way back
oh
from here.
gosh.
But we
So when we say
redid it.
blood, sweat, and tears, we're not kidding. Eh?
Oh yeah, and it was worth it.
Was the globe there? Did you have to?
No,
buy
that's
it?
the globes on all the pumps are reproduction.
Well, I'm going to mention that. That's important because they almost never survive.
I have three,
You do have,
but none
three
of them
those?
to match any of the
Yeah.
pumps that I have. That I
But they do make reproduction globes.
oh, they
So
make
some people-
reproduction everything. Everything's made reproduction. The signs, everything, stickers, everything.
That's a nice one.
The fire chief, Texaco. I was at one of them meets in Stowe, Vermont, and I was coming back from the show. It was actually when they have their car show. They have a meet there and they sell this stuff. I stopped by a barn side the road. I seen this leaning up against it, so I stopped and asked the gentleman, and here it is. And I just couldn't believe it. It sat there for years in plain sight, and no one stopped and asked him. A lot of people don't have the nerve or whatever it's called to stop. Well, I
Yeah,
do.
I know what it's called, but we aren't going to talk about it
Yeah.
on this show. You got it anyway.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah.
you did.
If you don't ask, you're never gonna.
That's
you're never
right.
gonna get it. The most you can get told is no.
And did you do a little restoration on that one?
Well, somebody did,
Yeah.
not me. No,
Uh-huh.
I had a gentleman that paints cars for a living. Did the three on the porch,
Oh,
and they're beautiful,
I just love them.
and they all light up. I know you can't see it.
Oh, yes, you can.
They all the globes light up.
Oh, no kidding.
Looks good at night.
Oh, they look great. Oh, my goodness. I might just drive up by here at night just to take a look at it. That's great.
I know a doctor who might be up to visit you.
Really? Who's that? Oh, Southwick, Dr. Southwick. Oh, my goodness. Wait till you'll have to give him the first copy of this show. He knows old cars and loves old cars. All right, what do we got over here in the corner?
Well, we got a Sinclair. It wasn't originally Sinclair. I don't know what it was originally, but I just picked this for a pump because I had the two original pump plates to put on it. So I said, let's do Sinclair. And we had one accident, the glasses broke out of that. I never replaced it. It's just one of the things. But,
It'd be easy enough, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
If you got around to it.
yeah.
What
But-
more of those round to it's, Bob.
Yes, I know. There's many of them
Oh,
around
goodness.
here. But that lights up too. They all light up.
Oh, you made sure of that, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right. He put up two fingers, which means we have 2 minutes. I want to know what's next for you. Either in the sign business or in the life business. You've been around. You've done a lot of things. You were in the Army for what, 2 years?
2 years. I was in Vietnam.
Were you in
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been a collector all my life. Before I collected these things, it was belt buckles.
Oh my goodness! That one says Clinton Prison. That's a beauty.
Yeah. Yeah. I designed 3 or 4 of the buckles for the different prisons around here.
Did you really?
And had them made and sold them. And When I finished collecting, I had over 400 buckles.
Oh my goodness.
400 different men's buckles.
We're getting down to the real Bob Bolak here, you know.
Now I'm just getting rid of them as I can because using the money for this aspect now.
It's amazing how you divest yourself of one thing and start something else.
I don't know what's next. Maybe nothing. Who knows?
Well, you know, you've had a good life, obviously. You've talked about a lot of nice things. Raising a family on top of the mountain here in Saranac is not a bad thing, Bob.
No, we've enjoyed it here.
Well, I tell you what, Calvin and I'm speaking for Calvin, and he smiled every once in a while, so I know he got almost as big a kick as I did out of this memorabilia, because I've always loved old cars. And with old cars, you had to have old gas stations and old service stations. And so you've surrounded yourself with things you love and enjoy and continue to do it today, and it's just great. Tell your wife we missed her tremendously.
I will.
And I hope that our viewers around the North Country, or wherever they see this and whenever they see this, have enjoyed it 1/3 as much as we have. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much for finally taking a couple hours out of your busy retirement.
Busy, yeah.
To invite us up on your mountain here in the Clark Hill Road in Saranac, Bob Bolak. It's been great. I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Well, thank you for coming.
And thank you all for watching. And you know the way I always end it. Who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.